the crisis, let me begin this way. The crisis we have gone through in the last 2.5 years or so can best be described as debt-induced macroeconomic instability. That tells you how fundamental debt unsustainability is. When the public balance sheet is impaired, there is no breathing space for household balance sheets, private sector balance sheets. When the public balance sheet is messed up, its implications goes beyond just the public sector. It has implications for the overall condition of the financial sector. And that is what we saw with the domestic debt exchange. So this was a public sector balance sheet full of debt, not justified by the economic fundamentals. So the first time in our history, we've had to go through a very painful domestic debt exchange that did not even spare pensioners, that did not even spare pension funds. The first time in our history, we've restructured our debt before. In fact, in 1966, 1970, 1972, even HIPIC was a form of debt restructuring. But all that we had to do was to pass on the haircut to foreign investors or external debt. This time round, doing that was not sufficient. We had to restructure the domestic debt. And as we speak right now, we've been kicked out of our own domestic market in terms of the medium to the short end of the yield curve bonds. So you cannot separate the two. You cannot. In fact, one key macroeconomic indicator that the market values is debt sustainability. Either you measure that in terms of the present value of debt to GDP ratio, and we were not supposed to do in excess of 55%. Do you know what the figure was actually in 2022 when the IMF and the World Bank concluded their debt sustainability analysis? We were trending around 109% of GDP. This is not just nominal debt to GDP. We are talking about the present value of our public debt relative to the size of our economy was 109%. Far more than the policy dependency threshold of 55%. The external debt to revenue ratio, which should not be more than 18%, we're doing more than 22%. And as we speak right now, we have not restored debt sustainability. So it will not be consistent. In fact, and if we want to know the validity of the position of the minority, let's go back to their own State of the Nation address in 2017. In fact, if you compare line by line, paragraph by paragraph, you would see that the current president was a bit moderate in painting the state of the economy and actually deferred the details and all of that to the National Economic Forum and then the budget statement and government economic policy. Of course, you could see that the starting point will be the economy. You can't talk about that without talking about the public debt, inflation, and all of that. Look, Kudo, 2017 State of the Nation address, you go and look at it. The NPP at that time inherited inflation of 15.4%. And then you can look at the description of the economy then.